guys, it's Galaxy and welcome to the camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S22 and Xiaomi Redmi Note 11 Pro. So starting in the ultrawide angle mode, color-wise maybe it would be best to see something in the middle between the two. Apart from that, looking closely at the ground area, I can spot a bit more details with no artifacts coming from the S22, which cannot be said about the other phone. Switching to the standard wide angle mode, notice this color shift on the Redmi Note 11 Pro. It looks way too bluish, so here I also prefer the Samsung, which on top of that has an advantage in the sky area looking at those different shades of yellow in the sun. Perhaps we got a little bit more clarifying exposure in the plant in the lower left corner of the picture coming from the Redmi, but other than that, the picture looks more flat, less lively and most importantly, less detailed with artificial sharpening. The difference in the level of detail may not be noticeable in the standard wide angle mode, but again the colors and this inconsistency between different camera modules and color output gives you a hint this is more of a budget phone than anything challenging flagship smartphones. The strong point of the current generation of the Galaxy S series is the ability to capture a nice representation of the sun. Maybe it is subtle and perhaps not that important to many of you, but I personally think it is a nice addition, and as a result those different shades of yellow bring some flavor and life to the image. On the other hand, I don't want to bash Redmi too much, some of the pictures came out pretty similar and the performance in the standard wide angle mode in landscape seemed to be quite decent. Before we get any further, let's look at the difference in the level of detail. Zooming in on this fire plug, and both seem to capture a similar amount of nuances in textures, with the only difference visible in the sharpening. The sharpening on the Redmi Note 11 Pro actually reminds me of older Galaxy S series phones, before the S10 or even earlier. Later from that, I noticed the Samsung changed its approach to those algorithms, making them somewhat more mild and perhaps a bit more dependent on the scene. Here the Redmi might look even more appealing to some of you, but please remember that this amount of sharpening may not always suit every possible scenario. Looking at some pictures, I think Samsung and other companies should draw a few conclusions. There's a lot to do to improve in terms of the level of detail per se, in my opinion. We've already seen big changes to the HDR, night mode and different modules, but this very important aspect seems a bit neglected over the years, especially on non-ultra models, I think. What I else need to mention about the Redmi is that despite having 2x zoom shortcut in the camera menu, you are not getting a telephoto module with this phone. This is digital zoom only. And of course, when we compare it to the Galaxy S22 with 3x dedicated telephoto module, it simply falls apart. However, instead of this, we get a macro camera, which is a bit hidden option in the settings. Thanks to that, you will be able to come much closer to the photographed objects than in the Samsung, but please don't expect the results to be on par with the proper standard wide angle mode. I'm not an advocate for ridiculous camera resolutions, but that one only has 2 megapixels. Perhaps the biggest disappointment I have with the Redmi Note 11 Pro is in the video quality department. So now we are watching the clip recorded in 4K 30 on the Galaxy S22, and just look for yourself when I will switch to the Redmi. Guys, 4K is must-have. The maximum resolution of 1080p with only 30 frames per second is below any expectations and just not acceptable even from a mid-range phone, in my honest opinion. Moving to the low-light performance, here I am definitely able to spot more details and sharpness from the S22. That's even more apparent in the magnification. Maybe Redmi is not that bad, but obviously cannot handle noise and detail in a comparable manner. But honestly, I'm even more interested in performance in night mode. So here I turn it on both devices, and somewhat to be expected, the Galaxy S22 came out brighter. And now we are in the ultra-wide angle mode, and again that color shift in the Redmi made the picture look quite poor. This changes fortunately with the standard wide angle mode, but again the S22 provides with more detail and better noise handling. Those results seem to be consistent and repeatable, and the difference gets more and more pronounced with increasingly difficult lighting conditions. Usually my summaries are not so black and white as in this case, but really, for me the performance of the Redmi Note 11 Pro was a bit disappointing in pretty much all areas. In terms of the camera performance, instead of this one, I would highly recommend getting some older flagships such as Galaxy S10 for example. Of course, I didn't expect Redmi to be fully on par with 3 times more expensive S22, but the list of flaws goes too long to the point I have hard time recommending it. The Ultrawide Angle module is a bit off in terms of details, a transition between modules is underdeveloped, night mode is unimpressive to say the least, and most important, 4K video recording is lacking. But you be the judge here, let me know in the comments what do you think about the Redmi Note 11 Pro in comparison with the Galaxy S22. Thank you very much for watching and consider subscribing to not miss my future camera comparisons and reviews. See you in the next one, peace.